B. Mikhail, 36. Operations guy at a mid-tier B2B software company that basically sells efficiency as a product job. Isn't sexy, but bills get paid and outages keep you honest. Mornings are always the same. Coffee in hand, quick scan of dashboards, then dive into a ticket queue that never actually empties. Our product is corporate duct tape. Clients hate it until it goes down for even an hour. Sales promises, miracles, marketing sells, vibes, engineering quietly fixes reality. So neither side looks stupid. Our team lives in the trenches: logs, alerts, patch jobs, stubbornness. As long as systems stayed up, nobody micromanaged us. Breaks were breaks, lunch was lunch, nobody cared. Old leadership had one golden rule: if the engine's running, don't touch it. That rule kept things stable even when everything else was chaos. Then one morning, reorg email drops. You could feel the mood shift before anyone even spoke, like the air got heavier. New ops director announced, taking over us, plus a couple nearby teams. Name's Danielle. Profile pic, looks sharp. Too polished smile, looks practiced. Eyes look like they're measuring you. Bio reads like a mission statement: equity, accountability, culture reset. All the buzzwords. Our manager Tom forwards it with a single line: let's be supportive, translation. She outranks him first week. She walks the floor, constantly stopping people mid-task, asking questions, friendly tone, but not really listening. Every answer you give gets repeated back, slightly altered, like she's editing how you're supposed to sound. I'm here to improve the culture, which basically means she's here to change everything. New posters show up in break rooms overnight, pastel colors, big bold words: respect, inclusion, belonging. We joke quietly because no poster ever fixed a server. Crash at 3 a.m. Weekly emails start rolling in cheerful tone. But you can feel the edge underneath, always talking about patterns and impact. Every example somehow paints guys as the issue and women as the solution. Most of us just set up filters and ignore them in this job. Filtering noise is survival. Week 2. There's a women's listening lunch catered, closed door, lots of safe space language. Next day, everything feels off. Conversations get cut short. Smiles feel forced. People look at you a second longer than normal, like you owe them something. Nobody says anything outright, but it feels like a silent verdict got handed down. We keep working because tickets don't care about feelings or politics. By week 3, she moves from messaging to systems, and that's when it gets real. Time tracking expands new required fields everywhere. Every task needs a justification. Code now breaks still exist, technically, but now you have to log them. Drop down categories, written explanation. She says the data will expose inequities, like burnout can be solved with spreadsheets. Then comes the shared coverage calendar. Suddenly breaks. Have to be scheduled and coordinated. Women can step away whenever, for wellness, no approval needed. Because safety is contextual, men have to request time slots in advance because service stability matters. Within days, the calendar becomes its own mess, turns people into time blocks instead of humans. One Tuesday, alert goes off 2. Approved break slots overlapped by like 5 minutes in her report. She calls it proof that men can't manage themselves, says they need more structure and oversight. Problem is, her system caused the overlap, but she talks like it was some moral failure. Anyone who tries to explain gets hit with new rules. Anticipate better. Coordinate proactively. Now men need a standby buddy before stepping away. Even if it's just 10 minutes, women don't need buddies because emotional safety requires independence. Sounds nice on paper. In reality, it just dumps more responsibility on the same people. The whole place starts feeling like an assembly line. Every move tracked, approved, justified. Few weeks later, you can see it on everyone. Slower responses, tired eyes, short tempers. She calls it privilege withdrawal. Actually says that phrase out loud. HR. Approved way of saying we should feel bad for being exhausted. Official reasoning is about correcting historical imbalance. Someone asks for actual incident data. She just says, resilience is part of leadership. On call, rotation gets changed. Next framed as fairness. But guess who ends up first in line? For every page, men become default responders. Women only join if they volunteer. She calls it restorative, like we're paying off some invisible debt. Lunches start getting skipped. Calendar doesn't care if you're hungry. Uptime comes first. People stop joking out loud. Anything can be turned into a tone issue. Tom tries to keep things calm, but you can tell he's scared to push back. Then comes mandatory training, 3 hours outside, consultant soft voice. Zero doubt about anything. Every example is the same pattern. Men interrupting men, explaining men, taking space. Men being the problem from the back. Danielle is typing notes the whole time, like a judge watching a case. After that, daily stand-ups feel different. Because once people know they're being watched, they stop saying anything. Real questions get filtered down to the safest possible version. Sentences lose any edge. Everything sounds neutral and dull. Best engineers start sounding like NPCs, just to stay out of trouble. Work still gets done. But the atmosphere feels thinner, like you need permission just to breathe later that month. A straight-up discussion about a broken service derails. Fast someone points out the new workflow is slowing, Fixes just says, "This is slowing us down." That single word, slowing, gets treated like sabotage. Mid-meeting, she stops. Everything asks how that comment might have impacted the women. Present room goes dead quiet. Nobody even understands the question. We're talking about servers, not people. She assigns a reflection exercise on the spot, expects a written apology for causing discomfort. Template includes lines like, "I recognize my tone and will improve moving forward." Watching a grown man type that over a technical comment feels unreal, like watching someone voluntarily cripple themselves. Meanwhile, systems keep breaking on schedule. They don't care about wording. One afternoon, billing integration goes down, tight window. Risky fix needed immediately during the incident. She steps in, demands risk minimization, blocks the fast solution. We hesitate because she's overriding customers, start complaining within minutes afterward. She calls it accountability. We call it a setup where failure is guaranteed at home. I barely talk about it. Saying it out loud makes it sound insane. Around then, the upcoming pledge deadline starts feeling heavier, less like HR nonsense, more like something permanent. Then a small mistake happens. Nothing major, the kind we used to quietly fix in minutes. This time she escalates it, hard frames it as a cultural issue, schedules an accountability huddle before shift even starts. Invite list is men only because apparently we need to reflect together on patterns of carelessness as punishment. All men's break slots get canceled for a full week. Women's schedules, untouched language, stays soft in emails, but the actual impact hits like a hammer. The guy who made the error tries to explain, gets cut off immediately. Impact over intent, he just nods. Young enough to think compliance equals safety, that week drags on forever. Everyone exhausted and tired, people make real mistakes. Then another rule drops core hours. Policy men can't step away between 10 and 4 unless approved with a valid reason. From a drop-down list, real life now has to fit. Preset categories, bathroom breaks, start getting planned like you're scheduling a mission. Drinking water feels like risking a violation over time. She starts sitting in more of our meetings, doesn't talk much, just types constantly watching, recording. Silence starts to feel dangerous because silence can be labeled however she wants. Technical disagreements turn into tone discussions turn into performance notes. One afternoon, she publicly praises a woman on another team for leaving early to focus on self-care. Same day, a guy on our team steps outside for 10 minutes. Later gets an email about visibility concerns. Message reads, "Polite, but there's an edge to it, like a threat wrapped in corporate language at home. My wife asks why I seem pissed off all the time. I just tell her I'm tired. Sleep gets worse because even when it's quiet, your brain keeps replaying conversations. Rules keep shifting." Nothing feels stable back at work. People start eating at their desks, leaving your chair. Feels risky, like you're admitting something small. Helpful habits disappear. First, like jumping in to help another team. Quickly, she labels that as informal labor patterns. Now everything has to go through official channels. Collaboration turns into paperwork. Paperwork turns good engineers into slow-moving ghosts. Then a calendar invite shows up. Title sounds like a lecture. Leadership example. Pledge attendees are all men from our group, and a few others, no women included. Conference room fills with this heavy quiet, like everyone already knows it's bad. She presents the pledge like it's a gift. Uses words like growth, allyship, repair, printed copies handed out thick paper, carefully worded text. But the meaning underneath is sharp. First clause says, accept feedback without defensiveness, which basically means never defend yourself. Second clause says, challenge harmful behavior in peers, which really means report each other. Third clause says, intent doesn't matter, which opens the door for accusations without context. Deadline to sign is end of the week. She says it's part of our development plan. Questions are welcome. Nobody says a word, because asking questions just paints a target on you, back at our desks. Nobody can focus. Document just sits there in your head, like a blade hanging over everything. Fear shows up in normal words. Rent, bills, kids, insurance. Zero savings. One senior engineer pulls a few of us aside, quietly says, this whole thing is a legal trap. Points straight at the no defensiveness clause, says it removes any chance to push back. Someone suggests fighting it. He just shakes his head, says getting angry only proves her point. Tom admits privately he can't shield us. She's tight with upper leadership. His hands are basically tied. That's when it clicks for me. The usual approach isn't going to work. We stop thinking about surviving inside her system. Start thinking about how to exit clean. Nobody says revenge out loud. That word feels too childish for this place. What it actually feels like is colder, like realizing you're in a bad deal and deciding to walk away from the table. Eventually, the leverage becomes obvious in the worst possible way. They can target one guy. They can't target nobody showing up in this place. One resignation turns into a lecture. Multiple people leaving at once turns into a crisis. The idea just sits there for days. Nobody says it out loud because anything spoken can be used later. Meanwhile, Danielle keeps tightening the screws, fully convinced pressure equals compliance. Her emails get softer in tone, but sharper underneath lots of praise for commitment. Followed by reminders about expectations and standards. New schedule drops men assigned to cover front desk during lunch, framed as a humility rotation. We nod and go along with it, because blending in buys time until it doesn't. 2 more guys get flagged for presence issues. Both stepped away for quick personal calls. Watching that happen drains whatever was left. It means there's no finish line to this. Friday evening hits. Parking lot, mostly empty. Few of us just standing around our cars, like we forgot why we came out there. No formal meeting, just tired guys holding keys. Avoiding eye contact. Someone mentions a recruiter reaching out. Someone else says they heard about an offer, floating around conversation. Slowly shifts job market. PTO. Balances doctor appointments, spouses asking questions at home. Something settles in. Not relief, more like a quiet decision. The kind you make when you're done negotiating your limits. One of the senior guys finally says it. She depends on us being separate. Another guy responds without hesitation. One of us leaving is a lesson. All of us leaving is a problem. That's it. Plan forms, right there. No speeches, no drama. Just adults figuring out how to survive. We pick a date Monday, 2 weeks out. Because pay cycles matter, and paperwork matters, no group chats, nothing written down. Evidence only helps the wrong people. Rules are simple, leave clean, stay legal, move together. No one jumps early. Everyone handles their own exit, their own way. PTO gets submitted quietly. Sick days, lined up, resignation letters written at kitchen tables late at night. Those 2 weeks feel strange, like living in a place you've already decided to leave. Everyone acts normal, but it's all rehearsed conversations. Get careful, work gets minimal and mechanical. Even the sharpest guys stop taking initiative. Everything gets documented, confirmed, double-checked, not sabotage, just self-protection. Because initiative is now the easiest thing to punish. She reads the shift completely wrong, thinks the calm means respect is finally working, compliments the growth in meetings like fear and professionalism are the same thing. Sunday night before the date feels off. Chest tight. Not guilt, just anticipation. Like waiting for something inevitable. Phone keeps buzzing with alerts. I mute everything, distance is part of the plan. Resignation letter sits in my bag, simple, clean. Nothing dramatic. Doctor's note already scanned and saved. No need to fake stress when it's real. In the kitchen, my wife watches me print. Everything asks if I'm actually going through with it. I nod, no excitement. Quitting doesn't feel like winning, just feels like refusing to get crushed. She doesn't celebrate either, just exhales slowly, like she's been holding it in for months. Dinner tastes like nothing. Anticipation kills appetite better than anything before bed. I clean up everything. Work-related delete. Old photos, clear my task list. Leave the laptop. Shut. Not trying to burn anything down. Just done being the thing. Everyone walks over. Monday morning, drive feels weirdly calm. Decision already made, nothing left to debate. Parking lot looks normal, but inside, it's about to get very quiet. Monday hits like a planned outage. Everything looks fine at first glance, but underneath it's already breaking 9 a.m. Floor looks off, not empty enough to panic, but empty enough to notice immediately about a third of the guys are gone, officially. On PTO phones, off calendars blocked. Another chunk is out. Sick doctor. Notes filed. Stress finally showing up physically. Mid-morning, HR gets the first resignation. Email short, clean, no emotion. Danielle does, her usual walkthrough. Stops, walks it again, like she thinks she counted wrong. Tom hands her the attendance list. Her expression tightens, not even anger. At first, just something off. Then anger hits because that's her default response. Then comes threats because threats work on individuals. And she still thinks in individuals. HR shuts that down immediately. PTO and sick leave are walls she can't push through. Stand-up starts with half the normal voices, feels unstable, like a chair missing, legs tickets start piling up, slowly. At first, nothing dramatic, yet some work can be delayed without obvious damage. Nobody raises their voice, but the silence feels heavy. Experienced people can sense a system starting to fail before it actually breaks by lunch. Another resignation hits guy, got an offer, and took it immediately clean exit ramp. Danielle starts sending direct messages, checking in, probing, nobody answers. Silence becomes the answer. She tells the remaining guys to pick up the slack. Problem is, the ones still there are already halfway out. Mentally, no more extra effort, no more improvising, no more last-minute hero. Saves. They do exactly what's assigned. Nothing more, nothing risky, nothing unofficial, just their piece and done metrics. Start shifting. She can see numbers changing, but she doesn't understand why Tuesday comes. Another guy gone, PTO, rolling clean, sick leave, kicking in, Wednesday. Another resignation, submitted short email. Polite wording, decision already locked in. She stops pretending it's random, but she can't call it coordinated, because that would mean admitting cause and effect. Leadership gets a presentation, slides about retention issues, talk about resistance to change. She frames it as men refusing to adapt, says they walked away instead of growing execs, nod along because stories are easier than systems. Solution comes, fast shift, workload to women, call it empowerment, keep the narrative intact. Big announcement goes out. New women-led ops initiative, pulls people from other teams into ours. First few weeks drag on the women, stepping in, start forming their own quiet network, sharing notes, trading checklists, warning each other about weird edge cases. We used to just handle, Danielle praises it, publicly, calls it strong collaboration. Then quietly starts pushing back when it becomes real, mutual support. Says group behavior can turn into cliques, and cliques hurt. Inclusion, contradiction is obvious. Our coordination was called toxic. Theirs was called brave until it wasn't. Because workload doesn't shrink and blame doesn't disappear. One woman asks for proper training, time. Gets told, learning happens best under pressure. Another asks for comp time. After on-call nights gets told, leadership isn't transactional. Third one pushes back in a meeting. Danielle asks if she's internalizing outdated norms. Room goes quiet. That line hits hard turns. Disagreement into self-doubt instantly. After that, nobody pushes back openly. They start pushing back with resignation. Letters instead, same pattern as before. Quiet, efficient exits as more people leave. She doubles down on tracking more reports, more spreadsheets. Like data can replace missing bodies. Eventually, only two types remain: people who can't leave yet, and people too invested to admit failure. Other departments get pulled in marketing, support. Admin, all labeled as opportunity faces, look confused because opportunity usually comes with support, not chaos. She calls it stepping up, but it feels like getting shoved toward the edge. First week is manageable, new people follow, checklists handle basic stuff. Second week, real failure hits. Complex integration, breaks, needs experience, pattern recognition. Knowledge that walked out the door, not on purpose, just how knowledge works. It lives in people. Contractors get brought in expensive ones. They ask questions we used to answer without thinking. Documentation suddenly becomes critical. Problem is, documentation is outdated because nobody documents during constant emergencies. Then she tells the new team to document while fixing issues like building a boat in the middle of a storm. Burnout starts showing slow replies, hands shaking short tempers, people staring blankly at screens. Her response is more structure, more rules. Because structure is the answer to everything in her world. Her tone stays upbeat, but actions get harsher. Pressure has to go somewhere, so it shifts. Targets. Women start getting treated the same way. Just faster because workload is worse now, during one incident. Someone asks for a break, gets told. Leadership means sacrifice. Another asks for an accommodation. Gets told, consistency matters more. Third refuses overtime, gets subtle, warning about harming team safety. That word safety starts sounding fake because it's used like leverage complaints, start quietly, HR emails, closed-door talks, whispers in hallways. Instead of listening, she calls it internalized bias, flips complaints into accusations, trust, breaks hard. Posters on the wall don't mean anything anymore because actions are louder. Same pattern repeats. People stop talking openly, keep heads down, minimize risk. Admitting mistakes would mean admitting fault. So she doubles down again, calls it consistency. Adds wellness check meetings, which turn into interrogations with softer language. Eventually, leadership notices not because of people, but because of numbers. Money makes things real, client escalations start stacking. SLA, misses increase, VP, calendar fills with emergency calls. More presentations, more diagrams, more confident timelines. Less actual improvement, questions from above. Get sharper, less patience for ideology, more demand for results. Tom quietly resigns somewhere in this mess, tired of fronting a losing situation. Eventually, Danielle gets reassigned special projects upstairs, which everyone knows is a soft exit posters, still hanging on the walls, edges curling colors, fading like leftovers from something that failed. Most of the original guys are long gone, by then spread out into normal jobs, with normal schedules. I leave about a month after that. Monday finally take a better offer. Last day feels nothing, no victory, just relief. Time passes, updates trickle in from old coworkers' company. Doesn't collapse immediately, they rarely do. They just limp along, headcount drops floors. Shut down growth plans, quietly replaced with survival. Plans outsourcing increases because invoices don't quit. The women who stayed the longest build their own rules. Strict boundaries. No heroics. Just survival. The culture. Language sticks around in templates, but nobody really believes it anymore. 6 months later, I meet an old coworker for coffee. She sums it up in one sentence: company still exists, just doesn't build anything new anymore. Another year passes. Here, it's basically a shell selling efficiency while drowning in rework contractors, keeping things alive. Customers slowly leaving, leadership still promising. Next quarter will fix everything. Danielle's name quietly disappears from org charts. No announcement, just gone. When people ask what happened, everyone gives different answers. Because nobody wants to say the one real answer is simple: pressure forced. Skilled people out, and that pressure just shifted to whoever was left. Our revenge wasn't loud. No yelling, no dramatic exits, just absence timed, properly done, clean done together, refusing to be the thing, holding everything up. Guys left. She redirected pressure system, eventually collapsed inward, ate the same people. It claimed to protect, no explosion, just empty desks and fading posters. Months later, I see her on LinkedIn, rebranded as some kind of culture consultant. Same smile, same tone, more hashtags, less consequences. One morning at my new job, support queue, gets an urgent ticket company. Name looks familiar, recently rebranded, same kind of issues, same patterns. Their vendor packet includes a respect pledge template, slightly updated. Same idea underneath. I close the ticket as non-compliant, take a sip of coffee, and picture those posters still fading on the walls.